Okay guys, so I've just finished hand sanding the blade, which is now covered in tape. And as you can see, I've fitted the guard up. Now, I hand sanded the face of the guard. It's really important that you finish the face of the guard before you do your handle fit up. I've made sure that my handle block fits to the tang perfectly, fits flush against the face of the guard. And now all I'm going to do is wipe down the tang with some acetylene, acetone. Sorry, acetylene. Acetone. Get all of the oils and stuff like that off. If you don't do this, then if there's oils from your hands or your tools or the sandpaper that you use, stuff like that, on the tang, it can actually impede the gluing process. So once it's thoroughly wiped down, then I'm going to mix up my two. I'm using 5-minute epoxy in this case because I'm going to be using a pin. What I do is equal parts of catalyst and filler. Actually, I'll just shift it so you can see what I'm doing. Equal parts catalyst and filler. Roughly equal parts. I tend to put a little bit more catalyst than filler in, purely because I want it to set up hard. And then I just use a popsicle stick that I got from an art supply store to mix it. You want to mix it thoroughly. This particular epoxy goes opaque slightly when it's mixed, and it also starts heating up because it's an exothermic reaction. And once I think it's mixed thoroughly, this is only 5-minute epoxy, so I've got to move relatively fast. I'm going to come back to the camera, to the knife. I'm going to quickly put a light daubing of it on the tang up to the guard. This is a stage that you really can't mess up, because otherwise it's back to the drawing board. Got to knock the handle off, break the handle off, start again, and I don't really want to be doing that at this stage. And then I'm going to scoop some epoxy into the tang slot hole in the handle. I basically want to overfill this because I want it to squeeze out of the handle when I fit up. And the reason for that is because that means that I've completely filled the cavity I made when I burn the tag in, and that means that I'm going to get the best fit up I possibly can. So I'm going to pour all of this in there. I try not to get too much on the face. It doesn't matter too much. Obviously, it's going to connect with the guard. Unfortunately, this burn-in wasn't as accurate as I normally do, so there's a little bit more space than I would like in there, but that should do it. And now I'm going to slot it down onto the handle and push it in place. And make sure it's all clamped up. Now, this blade is too long for my longest clamp, so instead of clamping, normally what I do is put a block of wood at the tip of the knife and clamp between the tip and the butt of the handle, push it all together. In this case, I know that the guard is friction fit quite solidly, so what I'm going to do is instead I'm going to clamp from the guard to the handle. And you want to make sure to do it both sides, otherwise what you're going to end up with is an uneven handle to guard fit up. Just make sure everything's solid. You haven't got any gaps or anything like that. And now that's ready to sit overnight, and I'll come back to it tomorrow and I'll show you what I do then. Cheers. Okay guys, so it's been setting up overnight. As you can see, the epoxy is dried quite well. You can normally tell by the way the dipstick sticks to whatever mixing tray you used. I just used an old piece of 240 grit sandpaper. But now all I'm going to do, obviously I don't need a handle this wide, it's quite blocky at the moment. But what I want to do before I start my profile and stuff is to have the sides of the block exactly parallel to the blade. And what that's going to do is give me a flat surface to then drill the pinhole through the material. So all I'm going to do is kind of sight down. I'll rough it out on the grinder, sight down the block, take off the excess material, and then I'll be ready to drill a hole. Okay, so now that I've flattened the surfaces, I can just take my template and match it up with the ricasso on the knife by eye. Obviously I've got a bit of a margin of error with a large wide tang like I've got. I'm just going to mark that and that on the two sides of the tang. And this will all get sanded out and shaping. What that does is give me a reference point. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark about the dead center of the tang. And it basically comes down to an aesthetic property, what I think looks the best for the knife. I think that maybe a little bit further back and up, about here. About there. Yeah, I think that's going to be good. Yep. Okay, so now all I'm going to do is take it to the drill and drill that hole. Okay, so I've got a 3.2mm drill bit chucked up in the vise, in the chuck. 3.2 is equal to the 1/8 inch stainless steel pin stock I'll be using, which is actually just TIG rod. It's the cheapest form of stainless. And now I'm just going to drill through the wood and through the tang. Okay, so as you can see, I've rough shaped it. Now, one of the things I love about making stuff and being a craftsman is that I get to choose to change things kind of on the fly. You know, I can make decisions. Now, my original drawing was nothing like how it ended up being. I mean, it's you know, it's about the right length, about the same length, but I've added the drop in, I swooped in the handle, I left the butt a little bit bigger, and it fits my hand really well. And this is something that, you know, you learn over making several knives, is that you know what works in your hand. And this specific design, I saw Nick Wheeler doing a version of his Parani project Bowie's, where he had a very ergonomic handle similar to this, and I love the feel of this grip. Now it's obviously very, very rough, and I've still got to refine the shape a lot, and I'm going to be doing that with both the grinder and files, but I've got to put that pin in first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some epoxy, and I'm also, off camera, I just opened the tops of the holes just a little bit, and I'll peen the pin in there. Okay, so after a couple of hours of hand sanding and polishing and, you know, various other abrasions on the guard and handle, this is the final shape. It's been sanded out to 400 grit. I've left the fittings and the handle itself as satin 400. All nice and smooth. You can see the profile. I like that nice Coke bottle profile. It's got the nice area for your two smaller fingers to sit in. Gives you a nice comfortable grip. And then obviously the swoop in there obviously gives it another bit to hold on to. It's tapers forward almost like an arrow shape. It's actually visible in the pommel, you can see. That's about the same dimensions as the front. It's maybe a little bit more tapered at the base. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to seal it up with some tung oil. Got some old tung oil that I've had lying around for a while, so it's a bit more solid than I wanted it to be, but just get it out. There you go. Tung oil is a solidifying oil, so it naturally clumps. There's that beautiful Banksia wood figure coming out. It's a beautiful, rich, deep color. I didn't have to stain this at all in order to get that nice, rich Banksia wood look, thankfully. Okay guys, so here it is. After many hours of toil and turmoil, I finally had it finished. Now, anyone who tuned in for the live streams of hand sanding and making the sheath, thank you very much for tuning in. The sheath was a absolute nightmare, but it came out looking not too bad. Not overly happy with how it ended up being too far over this way. And I may remake a new sheath for this at some point in the future. But otherwise, it came out really good. I'm pretty happy with it. Now, the blade itself, if we pull it out, came out very nicely. The fit up here is almost seamless. The fit up between the handle and the guard is almost seamless. Now there are a few errant scratches and old rust pits from when I accidentally left it out in the shed too long in it, and so I'm going to have to take it back and refinish it completely, and that sends chills down my spine, but I'll get there. It performed admirably at the wedding, thankfully. The wedding is now over. I'll show a shot. There'll be a shot in the final sequence here of it standing proud in the wedding cake. So the specs on this is it's a 12-inch blade from heel to tip. It's 13 inches from, or 13.5 inches from guard to tip, and it's 18.5 inches overall. So it's a really nice size, very hefty chopper, but not too bad. The point of balance is just forward of the plunge cut, so about there. Yep. Yeah, just forward of the plunge. The Banksia handle came out beautiful. I was a little upset that I couldn't do zebra wood, but this actually came out looking really nice, and I love the dark colors. I will be etching the hardening line. It actually came up with a really cool double hardening line, so a double hamon, that I will plan on etching, and I will also show some beauties on my Facebook page and my Instagram when those are done. But yeah, this is one of the last pieces to ever get my Rebel Raptor Creations stamp from my old business, and I'm looking forward to seeing what I can challenge myself with next year and later on this year. But yeah, thank you so much for sticking with me, and I'm hoping to upload more awesome projects just like this in the future. And yeah, everyone who's subscribed so far, you guys are awesome. I'm so happy to be able to share this kind of stuff with you. And if you want to share it with your friends and grow the family a little bit, that'd be great. I had a blast making this. It was a lot of work, but I had a blast. On the live streams, I will be doing more of those. I love interacting with you guys live, so keep an eye out on my Facebook and my Instagram pages, because I will be hopefully putting an update a week before I do my streams, just to give you guys a heads up. I'm hoping to do one every 2 weeks or so, probably on a Saturday night for the guys in the US, so it'll be like a Sunday morning thing for Australians, or Monday morning. It'll all depend on what you guys want. So if you guys could leave a comment down below when you think my live stream should be the best time for me to do it, then just let me know, and I'll definitely take that into advisement, because I definitely want to share some more stuff live with you guys. So anyway, yeah, hope you enjoyed the build. There will be beauties of this on my Facebook page and my Instagram post in the next month or so, when I get around to finishing this, around all the other stuff I'm doing. But for now, you'll just get the few that happened at the wedding. So anyway guys, I'll see you in the next one.